Teenagers, what's something your parents do that secretly drives you insane? My mother always offers to help me, but if I let her, she brings up every individual task she's helped me with the next time she's upset and tells me I've done nothing to deserve her help or her kindness. Now she's angry that I never accept her help, and she doesn't understand why I never take gifts from people before knowing what's expected of me in return. It's kind of tough when help comes with strings attached. It's like a cycle of feeling obligated, and then there's resentment on both sides. I've seen friends deal with similar situations where it turns into a game of guilt. Sometimes, it's easier to just handle things yourself to avoid that kind of tension. It's a tricky balance. Help should feel good, not come with conditions. When I try to talk about my feelings or the things my mom did that hurt or upset me, she just immediately turns to this distraught "I'm such a terrible mother." And the whole conversation stops being about me, working through my issues, and listening to my emotions because I have to sidetrack to comfort her. It's tough when you try to express yourself, and the focus shifts to comforting someone else. I've had a friend who felt the same way with family. Every time they tried to share, it became a guilt trip for the parent. It's hard to get support when you end up being the one comforting them. Sometimes, you just want someone to listen, not feel responsible for their emotions. When my parents commented negatively on anything I said or did as their first reaction, it taught me to keep secrets, tell lies, and avoid informing them of anything until right before or after it happened. They once wanted me to get a job, so I did. It was full-time, seasonal, and paid well, just 30-minute drive. Scolded me for not finding something closer. Made me call my manager and apologize for wasting their time and resign. Then got mad at me for that and made me call back my manager and ask for my job back within 10 minutes. I was 16 or 17 at the time. Next time I got a job, I told them as I was leaving the house to said job. It was really frustrating growing up and always expecting a negative reaction out of the gate. It's tough when you can't share things openly with your parents. Always feeling like you need to hide or downplay your achievements can wear you out. That job situation sounds really stressful, having to apologize and then ask for your job back all in a short period. I get why you'd choose to just tell them at the last minute after that. It's like self-preservation, in a way. Being outwardly judgmental. I don't ever tell my parents about my music taste or my friends or a lot of my interests, because I know I'm going to get some snide comments if it's not up to their standards. I get that. Keeping things to yourself can be easier when you know someone won't understand or accept what you like. It's tough when you feel judged for enjoying certain music or hanging out with certain people. I used to do the same, just to avoid the comments. It's like protecting your space and interests from negativity, which is fair enough. I wanted to share something that actually really helped my relationship with my mom. She always said, if you tell me the truth you won't get in trouble and I won't be mad, I'll be mad at the situation and I expect you to be a part of the process of making it right. This just really reinforced the idea that if something goes wrong, I should call my mom and not think, oh fuck, my mom can't find out about this. I had too many friends of mine who could only call me or my mom because their parents would freak, and I still to this day count my lucky stars that my mom is literally the sanest, most helpful person, and I'm so blessed to call her my mom. That's a solid approach your mom has. It makes sense to create a space where honesty is valued over punishment. It definitely encourages open communication. Having that kind of support can really help when things go wrong. It's good to hear you appreciate her and feel lucky to have that relationship. Not everyone gets that, so it's cool you can rely on her like that. They comment on literally everything, to the point where I was scared to listen to music for years because I didn't want my parents to comment on my music taste. Which is pretty mainstream, it's just different than theirs. Whenever we meet someone, they tell me afterwards their thoughts on that person and point out if they had acne, had too long hair, wore a cropped shirt, etc. They view their comments as harmless observations, but it causes insecurities. It's tough when family doesn't realize how their comments impact you. I had a similar experience where a friend always critiqued my choices. I avoided sharing things with them because I didn't want that judgment. It made me second-guess myself, even on simple things like music. Eventually, I learned to share less and focus on what made me happy instead. It's about protecting your own peace, you know? I'm now in my 20s, but my mom started doing this whenever I was a teenager and still hasn't stopped. She'll say something like, "You're probably going to get mad at me for saying this, and then tell me something unnecessarily rude about my appearance or weight that is entirely unhelpful and uncalled for." I've started cutting her off and telling her that maybe she just shouldn't say it then, but it was a lot harder to stand up to her when I was 14. It's tough when family feels the need to comment on your appearance. I had a similar experience with a friend who faced constant remarks about her style. It took a while, but she started to push back, letting them know it wasn't helpful. It's important to set those boundaries, even if it's awkward at first. People sometimes forget the impact their words can have. Tell me that I need to talk out my problems and that they won't be judgmental, proceeds to belittle me and tell me how I'm selfish and weak for having said problems. Now they wonder why I don't speak to them much. It's tough when you open up to someone, expecting support, and they turn around and make you feel worse. You think you're being brave by sharing, but then their reaction just shuts you down. It's no surprise you don't want to talk to them anymore. Sometimes, you realize that not everyone is equipped to handle someone else's struggles. You deserve to be heard, not belittled. Not a teen, but still live with my parents. There's a lot of little things that get on my nerves, but the one thing that I absolutely hate is my mom asks about my day only to immediately start scrolling on her phone, completely ignoring me when I tell her. It's even worse when she randomly starts listening and has no idea what I'm talking about. Worst of all is when I confront her about this, she always denies it. Also, my parents love to play videos on their phone out loud, especially when I'm trying to read or watch something. I get it. Living with parents can be tough, especially when they seem uninterested. It's frustrating when you're trying to share your day and they're distracted. That phone scrolling can feel like a total dismissal. And the loud videos? That's just annoying when you're trying to focus. It's like they're in their own world, and you're just trying to exist in yours. Communication can really help, but it's not always easy. My dad often wants to play a game with me, only to spend my entire afternoon trying to get it installed and working on both of our computers, and a lot of the time also trying to fix minor problems that have nothing to do with the game on my computer. Yeah, I feel you on that. My friend has a habit of wanting to game too, but it always turns into a tech support session instead. We spend more time troubleshooting than actually playing. It gets frustrating, but I guess it's part of the experience. Sometimes it feels more like a bonding activity over quirks than actual gaming. Not sure if it's worth it, but we keep trying anyway. I can't find that cat. What if she escaped? I can't believe you said that. You're totally going to get bullied. Are you sure you know where your classes are? I know you checked twice already, but check again. Why didn't you respond to my text 15 minutes ago? I was about to call the police. Don't go that far up the driveway. Someone might kidnap you. Those pants look baggier on you. Have you lost weight? Are you sick? What are you hiding from me? Guess who just got diagnosed with anxiety at age 20? That sounds like a pretty relatable situation. Friends worrying about each other can feel overwhelming sometimes. It's easy to get caught up in thoughts and what ifs, especially at that age. I remember a time when my friend kept stressing over small stuff. It was tough to see them struggle, but talking it out helped. It's a reminder that support matters and that it's okay to seek help when things feel heavy. Telling me I'm angry when I raise my voice but complain they can't hear me because I'm quiet and mumbly. I can't help constantly talking in a whisper, but if I speak louder apparently I'm being rude. And now I question if I have anger issues or not because everything I do is me being angry according to them. That sounds frustrating. It's tough when you're trying to communicate but get mixed signals. It's like you can't win, no matter how you express yourself. We all have our ways of speaking, and sometimes it just doesn't match what others expect. It can really make you doubt yourself, especially when you feel you're just trying to be heard. It's a tricky balance to find between volume and tone. Not a teenager or close, but this bugged me as a teenager, and it still bugs me now, because she hasn't stopped. My mom will make suggestions that aren't suggestions at all. She'll first say it in a kind, ambiguous way. When you thank her but say it's not necessary, she'll repeat it again in a more insistent tone. If you decline again, it usually becomes an order. For a teenager, or as an adult, she'll just start martyring herself and making up catastrophes that will happen because I didn't take her advice. Needless to say, I usually wind up giving in out of frustration. That sounds frustrating. It's tough when someone you care about keeps pushing their suggestions like that. I guess it's easy to feel guilty if you don't go along with it, especially when they start making it seem like your choice is causing them distress. I've had moments like that with friends or family too. Sometimes you just want to be heard without the pressure to agree. Adult now, but it was definitely second-guessing anything adventurous I wanted to do. Going out to a party, watch out, they do drugs at parties. Going on a road trip, watch out, you could get hit by a drunk driver. Going on a vacation, watch out for thieves and muggers. Just a constant burden of worry and warning for anything I wanted to do. And that burden became so heavy I just stopped trying to do things after a while, or simply would do things without telling them. Sometimes I think they were so worried that I might die that it never crossed their minds that I would never live. It's tough when worry takes over. I remember a friend who always hesitated before trying anything new. She felt like she couldn't enjoy life because of the constant warnings from family. Eventually, she started doing things without telling them, just to feel free. It was kind of sad, really. It made me think about how protective love can sometimes trap us instead of helping us live fully. Not a teen, but something my dad said he learned from me when I was a kid was to not compare me and my siblings to other people's kids. Our mom used to always do that. She would constantly say, "Why can't you be more like Name?" It bothered me because it wasn't like she was comparing bad kid to good kid. She just had friends whose children were talented in ways that she had hoped we would be musically, academically, in sports. We had our own talents and did average in school, but that was still grounds for not being good enough. I felt comfortable telling my dad how hurt I was every time Mom said those things. So he said he learned right away to not compare us to others like that. My parents are still married, this all happened under the same household. It's interesting to hear how your dad picked up on that. Comparing kids can really mess with their heads. I remember feeling that way growing up too, especially when hearing, "Why aren't you more like them?" It does create unnecessary pressure. It sounds like your dad had the right idea in recognizing that we all have our own strengths. It's good he made that change for you and your siblings. Sometimes they don't take my physical pain seriously. I complained about my calves hurting every time I walked for long periods of time. Turned out I have a leg condition that could have permanently damaged my legs if I didn't get physical therapy for it. When I did once was having coughing fits to the point where I couldn't breathe and had to take time to catch my breath. I had pneumonia once, sprained my ankle and had to walk about a quarter mile or more on it, and we didn't get it checked out until a couple days later, and it was apparently one of the worst sprains my doctor had ever seen, most likely because it was a day later. All times my mother since she was the one who usually dealt with the medical stuff, just said I had to exercise more, which I did, or to take some normal cough medicine and drink more water, or just said she would bring me later. She's not neglectful or anything, she just doesn't believe me sometimes. At least I've gotten a decently high pain tolerance from all that, so I guess that's a plus. It's tough when people brush off your pain. I've been there too. I once had a bad migraine that felt like my head was splitting. Told my friend, and he just said it was probably a hangover. Turns out, I had a sinus infection. Another time, I sprained my wrist playing basketball, and everyone thought I was overreacting until I got it checked. At least I know my body better now, even if others don't see it. It's when parents don't listen. They compare my life to theirs. They say, when I was your age, I had it harder. That doesn't help. Life now is stressful in new ways. School, friends, and social media are hard to balance. Sometimes, I just need them to listen. I don't need a lecture or a fix. Just listen and try to understand. Parents, if you're reading this, we aren't saying your life was easy. We just want you to see that ours isn't either. A little kindness goes a long way. It's tough when parents don't really get it. They think their struggles make ours less valid. Life really changes, and what's hard for them might not be what we face today. Just having them listen without trying to solve things feels important. We just want to be understood, not judged. It would help if they realized that kindness and empathy matter. Sometimes, we just need them to be there for us. Please consider subscribing if you enjoyed. Love.